run to try to get good position because there's some little technical sections leaving transition on the bike course that if you were in front, you're going to be able to be a little bit quicker through those sections.
After leaving transition, they'll head out and do a right-hand turn. They'll go down a ramp for about 50 to 60 meters, and then they will be then turning left, a hard left as they try and get their shoes in the bike and then head out on the downhill going out of Lake Placid. Full Gas, the official indoor training app for Ironman, has organised a free virtual group ride of the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid bike course today. So join the Ironman community at 11 a.m. Eastern today to ride the course together. This event is available all day and is open globally. Download the Full Gas app and use promo code 30 Ironman22. That's 30 Ironman22 when creating your account for an exclusive 30-day free trial. Open the live group rides and races channel in the Full Gas app and select the Lake Placid to Keene course. Test yourself on this rolling 18-mile section of the official bike course. Ride with or against your friends. Enjoy racing the stunning tree-lined course at Ironman Lake Placid. And I tell you what, Matt, they'll be flying, going down from Lake Placid to Keene. It's a net loss of about 1,000 feet. Then they start climbing after that. So let's go over to our ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid notable pro man. That's Matt Russell. He'll be wearing number 21 today. And Matt Troutman from South Africa.
Yeah, Troutman obviously had a great race at South Africa, third place, very close to the win, tight race there. But he's, I'd say going into this race, the race favorite. But you can't overlook Cody Beals and Justin Metzler. They've both had great results. I think Justin Metzler kind of the one riding high off of some recent results.
And from France, we got Kevin Portman as well. But let's go over and take a look at our men's pro field.
Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a non-wetsuit swim. There's some very strong swimmers, so I think there'll be a big gap coming out of the water.
Yeah, long descent, I think, coming out of the swim, which might split things up a bit early.
The bike course is hilly, and there's some strong winds on the way back. Much better than a flat course for me.
It really does remind me of a lot of like the high Rocky Mountain areas, kind of like riding up in the mountains, so I feel like I'm pretty familiar with the terrain. And
so I feel like I have some unfinished business here. I've done well on hilly courses like this. I hear Mont Tremblant is pretty similar. That course has been good to me. So I've scoped out some of the more tricky sections of the course, some of the areas without perfect road conditions, some of the technical corners. I think we just need to play a little bit safer there. So really, I'm indifferent to the rain. I will just be braking a little bit more carefully around those corners.
The run is hilly. I mean, the second lap, if you don't pace yourself well, you can probably do some damage on the second lap. I think it's going to be on the run that you're going to win.
Well, I'd say that's a pretty good observation. It's going to be on the run where you're going to win. I think he's right. This run course is just too hard to really go for it on the bike and hang on the run. If you've got good runners on the course like you do here with the athlete on screen, Heather Jackson, you're going to need a big gap if you're not going to have a good run.
Well, Heather's going to face a deficit, obviously, getting out of the swim. Melanie McQuaid is in there. Sarah True, one of our good swimmers, and a great swimmer, Rachel Celinka, is, a former trial swimmer for the Olympic Games. So that's amazing. And also Stanford's Didi Griesbauer and our co-host here at Ironman Now. So we want to say good luck to you out there, Didi, and we hope you have a great race. So let's go and take a look at our pro women's notables.
It's a challenging course. It's fair. I think it requires smart pacing.
I was told once you swim at Ironman Lake Placid, you're spoiled for the rest of your life in terms of Ironman swims. You know, fingers crossed it'll be wetsuit illegal. That would be great for me.
I just hit a massive swim PR last weekend at the Salem 70.3 half Ironman. So I'm just gonna carry that momentum. 17 minutes per lap. You can follow the cord, 2 laps. I don't think it's gonna be wetsuit for pros, so that'll be different than last year, but it's pretty warm.
First half of the bike, smartly, you'll pay the price for it. There are some surprises in terms of road qualities.
Once I'm out there on the bike, love the course. I think it'll play to my strengths, not being a flat course, just some variety in there.
Bike is hard, it's hilly. People go out way too hard the first lap. It starts to wear on you right around that first 10 miles back out of town onto the second loop. That's where it can really hit you if you went too hard the first lap. So pacing, managing the hills, and then managing nutrition.
I think it'll be a little humid later on during the run.
I grew up in upstate New York. It has this incredible history, and it's a really hard course.
Hilly marathon, hilly tough marathon, it's really more just strong women's course. Like, who's gonna get to the line first is about managing all of those and just putting together a solid day.
Well, I think that HJ was a little delusional there, coming off a long training day. She had the helmet unstrapped and, you know, looking a little bit sunburnt. But, hey, Heather, last time I checked, Salem in Oregon was a downstream swim, so we're not claiming that as a PR.
Yeah, no, Heather, you can claim it, Heather, no problem. And, you know, this is a race that, you know, Heather is used to these conditions and this type of course. And I think generally a flat water swim like this with the cable should suit someone like Heather Jackson. And we know when she gets on the bike and the run, you know, you need to be trying your best to keep her off your feet. But Sarah True, you know, she, as far as I'm concerned, is the favorite at this race because she's a fast swimmer. It's been a while since she's been over the Ironman distance, having a child recently, but expect to see good things out of Sarah.
Sarah True and Heather Jackson for sure, starting as my two favourites. Absolutely, as we look over Lake Placid one more time as we edge a little bit closer to the start of the race. Here today for the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid right here in the Adirondack Mountains, high up in the New York State here. We can see over the back there, we've got our Miracle on Ice event centre with the World University Games coming up real soon. We'll be right back on the other side of this short break. Just anticipating a great day here. This is Mirror Lake at Lake Placid area right here, the ViewSport Ironman. Lake Placid will continue throughout the day, swimming 2.4 miles on the swim or 3.8 kilometers, riding 112 bike miles and 180 kilometers, just a little bit shy of that today because of the roadworks happening in around town, and then also running the 42 kilometer or 26 miles around this beautiful area high up in the Adirondack Mountains. As we look down now, Matt, on the swim course here, I don't see any problems with a swim. It's going to be very quick today. However, wetsuits will not be worn, so we might see a little bit of a gap out there today.
Yeah, and I think it probably evens it out as far as the course being so fast, but not having a wetsuit will make it a little bit slower. But yeah, I think you're right. It generally will split things up. The better swimmers, like you know, the woman we saw was a previous. Oh, here we go. We're going straight down to the
Carolyn Miller with the national anthem.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
getting us underway here with the national anthem of the United States of America as we get ready for one of my most favourite races inside of the United States. That's for sure, Matt. We were talking off air and, just saying that this is one of the most beautiful areas, for an Ironman. And you've actually led this race out there on the swim, which is, that was a surprise to me.
Yes, it was to me as well. And let's say it was brief. You got to go for that swim preem. But there you go. Mike Riley, someone who's been at this course a bunch and, called me across the finish line. And it's a treat for all these athletes to be out on course today. But yeah, Greg, it is one of those races, for me, it was Ironman Canada, Ironman Lake Placid. It's just, it has such a different feel. And if you haven't gone, you should go even just to watch. Obviously the size of this field, 3,200 athletes, but it's such a little town and they love having you there. It's just a really cool feel. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, they really get behind it as we now get the introductions to a lot of our seated athletes out there today. We got Justin Messler, he's going to be in there. We've got Matt Troutman, that's going to be one of our favorites out there. And, look out for Cody Beals from Canada. He's going to be one of those athletes that we look at. There's Cody right now just heading down to the swim start there. And Matt, I'm calling him as one of my early race favorites today. Metzler's in there, Troutman, but you got to look at Cody Beals is going to be one of those guys.
No, I agree. I think Cody Beals, when he first moved into the Ironman distance in 70.3, he was dominant for a period of time. And the last few years, I feel like he's been kind of off and on, right? He hasn't really found his stride, hasn't really been himself. Don't want to insert that on him, but it does seem like he still has more to give. And if he finds that stride again and gets in that groove, I think he's going to be hard to beat. But Justin Metzler is one that's, he keeps getting better and he keeps getting these better performances, the faster 70.3 runs, great Ironman marathon splits. And I think he's one to watch out for too.
Matt, give us an idea how fast these speed suits are as opposed to the wetsuit.
They're pretty good. If you're a really good swimmer, it's not a ton different because the wetsuit just brings you up out of the water, where these swim skins are, obviously very hydrophobic, so you go through the water really quickly. But with you see athletes have their arm sleeves out for their cycling skin suits. They're certainly not as fast as a wetsuit.
Hydrodynamics are going to be one of the key things today as we get ready for a start of the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid. Now we are in the hands of the starter. Aaron Murphy's going to get us underway. Let's listen in. And we're away with the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid as we get our men pro athletes. There'll be a 2-minute gap between them and the female pro athletes out there today. Again, there are 2 slots available for the Ironman World Championship on our men's side, 2 spots available on our women's pro side, and 45 spots available on our age group side today. What do you got for us, Matt?
Well, it looks like you actually see Matt Russell going out near the front there. You can see the really, really fast arm turnover. I've raced with him before. He actually does go out pretty quick sometimes for an athlete that generally will probably see him 5 minutes back by the time we get there. But what I do notice as well, Greg, is that athlete on the far side choosing to get away from kind of the ruckus, so to speak. And, he's not using that line. These other athletes have a cable underneath them that they can sight, but he's getting out of the way, getting smooth water. And in the end, you're not really losing much distance if you start 10 meters to the left. And I think that's a good play by that athlete.
Heather Jackson just getting down to the water. Melanie McQuaid, Sarah True, some of our favourite athletes out there today. Rachel Celinka's coming across from, there's Sarah True right now, but Rachel Celinka's coming across from a swimming notable to a triathlon notable now. And Didi Griesbauer, she went to the, Stanford University there, standing on the left-hand side. You can see Didi there at just over 50 years of age, still going as a pro athlete. And she's normally sitting beside us here in studio, but good luck to you out there, Didi. You've got all of our energy from Matt and myself and the whole crew, but don't want to be biased at all. But we've got a great race in front of us today. Excited to see Heather Jackson still going. She's been there forever as a pro athlete, and I just absolutely love her attitude, and I love her smile even more.
No, she's great. She has fun out there, and we have fun watching her race for sure. You know, one of these days we got to get Didi to see if we can get a camera out there when she's racing, see what she has to say.
Yeah, we'll have Didi Cam. But there they go. They're underway with our pro women's field here at the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid, the North American Tri-Club Championship as well, Matt. So we got 3,200 athletes, 70 of those being on the pro side, and the rest of them, about 3,230 athletes, are going to be sorting out the Tri-Club Championship today.
Yeah.
Lots of Tri-Clubs involved. Are you a part of one?
Not currently, but out in retirement. Maybe I'll get out one of these days. But you can see Sarah True on the right side of the front duo. You know, she's got some time where she was up front, but I think that is going to be short-lived. With Rachel Zelinskis is really that cream of the crop swimmer. I mean, she was a distance swimmer in college for Georgia, as you said, an Olympic trials swimmer as well. You know what? I'm excited. I'm hoping, you know, again, not biased at all, but if Rachel gets that Kona spot, seeing her and Lauren Brandon and some of the faster swimmers, I think she's another one of these athletes that's going to, you know, push the pace.
Yeah, and, you know, if you're wondering why we're, you know, omitting Lucy Charles-Barclay, that's because Lucy's coming back from injury, and if she gets to the start line, that would be amazing. But for me, it would be amazing just to see her get through the end of the year unscathed.
For sure.
And, you know, pick it up next year. But looks like Rachel Zelinkas right now is off to a great start. Sarah True is in second place right now. Sarah True being a multiple Olympian there. She knows exactly how to get it done in the swim, and also an Ironman champion. So look for Sarah True to get onto those feet of Zelinkas, but it doesn't look like she's having it that way today. Zelinkas, the Olympic trial specialist in the freestyle and the 400 and 800, has already dropped Sarah True. So I tell you what, this race is out to a flyer for Rachel Zelinkas.
Yeah, no, she's on it. You can see that kick. She's really going for it. She wants to separate from the athletes behind. I think Sarah True would probably think, maybe I'll try to stay on her feet for a little bit, but obviously knows the caliber of that athlete and that Ironman distance. It's a long way to go, and the swim does put you in a good position to have a great race, but generally it isn't going to win you a race. But Rachel putting in the effort, and then very, very different style to what we saw from Rachel Zelinskis at the front of the swim. The athlete that we have in the men's race at the front, very, very slow, long turnover, lighter kick, powerful stroke, but in front of Justin Metzler's in that white cap there. So we'll get an eye on who this athlete is leading, but there's a few athletes that it could be. It could be Lucy. It could be, you know, it's not. We got Metzler behind, so there's a few athletes there, but we'll get a shot of what that cap number is and see who that men's leader is. But very, very smooth.
Yeah, it looks like James Caparel from the United States is right up there in the lead. And, you know, Hunter Lucy is right up there as well. We got Justin Metzler who's trying to get into the mix. And Blaza Sjoki from Hungary, he's still going, man. He's one of the guys that we've talked about for a long, long time. And he's doing very well, just tucked into third position at the moment.
Absolutely. Another athlete that's pretty good at the swim as well that we'll probably see up there is Pamphile Perrin from Belgium. He's a great swimmer, and right now, and I think we had one of the athletes note that there are some really fast swimmers in this race, and I think you'll probably see a separation at the front of this group, maybe a small group of 3 to 5 on the men's side breaking away, and obviously on the right side of the screen we see it's a group of 1 that seems like she's going to have her way with this swim.
Okay, so when you look at the distance swimmers in the pool, you'll notice that they have that high elbow, but they've got a beautiful arm action going forward. And look at that, it's very symmetrical, Matt. Break it down for us as opposed to our men's. Our men's got a straight right arm entry there. Everything is supposed to happen underneath the water, as we know, but as opposed to the turnover from our lead women in Rachel Zelinkas, as opposed to, you know, our lead swimmer right now on the other side with Caparel. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, she has obviously a beautiful, beautiful stroke. And the man on the side, you know, open water swimming, you don't necessarily have to be pretty. So for me, I actually went from a prettier stroke to more of a stroke like the man on the left, because you just get your arms in and out of the water quicker. But Zelinskis does all of it, right? Like you can see she has a quick turnover, which often, like if you look at a Lauren Brandon, her turnover is not that big, but she has almost the identical arm carriage when she's cruising over. But so Zelinskis is able to have that repetition, you know, put your hand in, bring it out, you know, moving yourself forward, being high out of the water, but just has very, very comfortable and smooth swim stroke, while the man on the left is a little bit more of a power stroke, a little bit longer and lobier.
Yeah, and it's more efficient, to swim like the men's leader at the moment. But the efficiency coming from having the perfect stroke and everything perfect underwater is going to work well for our leader in Rachel Celinka. It reminds me a lot of the turnover of Lucy Charles Barclay. Lucy has one of the fastest turnovers in the sport as well. One of the greatest Ironman swimmers that we've ever seen. Rachel Celinka, Lauren Brandon, Lucy Charles Barclay, I tell you what, we're in a little bit of royalty here right now because this swim from Rachel is going to set her up for what's to come down the road in the swim, because it looked like that Sarah True was the only one that was, trying to keep in touch. This is now looking overhead from our drone shot with our men's pro athletes here in the Roka swim. We're just getting underway with the ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid, the Ironman North American Tri-Club Series, also a part of the VinFast US Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like a group of 5 on the men's side right now. So there has been a pretty good separation at this point. This early on with the cable, it probably won't split too much. Where we'll see a lot more splits, obviously, is when the groups get established. And then on that second lap, these athletes are going to be going through a lot of lapped traffic with our age group field. So I think that's when we'll really see the gaps start to open up.
Age group is getting underway coming up momentarily. About 3,200 of those will be lining up on the shores of Mirror Lake right here in Lake Placid. Lake Placid actually sits on the next lake over. Then you got Saranac Lake. And if you haven't been to this part of the world, you should. You need to come up to Ironman Lake Placid because this is one of the longest standing Ironman races in the US. And I would only say that Ironman Florida, Matt, is a little bit older than this one. But it's been a great race, in this VinFast Ironman US Series. And I tell you what, you've got Wisconsin, you've got Coeur d'Alene, we've got all these races, Kentucky, in Louisville, and Maryland. We've got them all over the place now in the VinFast Ironman US Series. So we are underway as you look at beautiful shots overlooking the main street of Lake Placid right now. And this is the 2022 ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid at 9 minutes and 15 seconds into it. We are off and underway.
Yeah, and James Caparel doing a great job pushing the pace. Again, looks really smooth. And when you're an athlete out in the lead of a race like this, especially Mirror Lake, there's a reason they call it Mirror Lake, Greg. Yeah, you can see the reflection of the buildings in the background. It's just, there's thousands of people around. There's a camera following you, but it's really peaceful. And, I think James Caparel is focused on trying to push that pace as much as he can, but hopefully he's enjoying that kind of quiet time up front.
Well, I hope we can keep you up all day. It sounds like you're very peaceful at this point in time as well, as we see the reflections of the athletes across this beautiful Mirror Lake. At the moment, we're underway with the 2022 ViewSport Ironman Lake Placid, a part of the VinFast Ironman US Series. We're leading with Caparel on the men's side, and also Celinka on our women's side. Don't go away. We'll be right back in the swim.
Whether it's on the road or in the pool, your activity has high demands. Rooted in sweat and grounded in science, we understand your unique fueling needs. That is why we created formulas just for you, endurance athletes, helping you replace what you're losing and keeping you fueled. And there's nowhere we'd rather be than with you along this journey, because together we are formulated for farther. From the creators of Gatorade, Gatorade Endurance, formulated for you, formulated for farther.
Currently in second place right now, America's Justin Metzler, who trains out of Boulder, Colorado, sits in second place following James Caparel. Another U.S. athlete, you got Maddie Troutman just falling off the back of our lead group now. So we've got a group of 5 out there. Lucy is right in there. We've got our Belgian athlete is sitting in a very, very good spot right now. And I tell you what, Peyran from Belgium is doing just fine. And like I said, Lucy's in there, as well as Placid Shoki from Hungary.
He is, and I do think that athlete on the back on the left in the pink cap, believe that is Cody Beals as well. So that's an athlete rocking Michael Jordan's number, 23, today. He's an athlete that's looking to have a good performance. And I just want to point out, Greg, athletes really impressed by athletes that I spent time racing with now years ago. But Justin Metzler and Cody Beals were always kind of that like second pack or just off second pack. And Justin Metzler was more consistent second pack, back of first pack, but now he is like always at the front, like he's always second, or he's like putting his nose in the wind a little bit in the swim. And both those athletes you have to work. Like if you're to the point where you're in the second group, to move up to the first group is a ton of work if you're already an established professional athlete. So kudos to those two gentlemen specifically that I've seen over their careers really make the swim, a part they can depend on, because that can lose you races if you lose a minute and a half, 2 minutes in the swim.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out there and say, you don't have a Lukasz Voigt, you don't have a Josh Amberger, you don't have a Jan Frodeno, some of the fastest swimmers that you've ever seen out there today. So it's giving these guys a little bit of an opportunity to be in that lead group. This is not going to be a 46, 47-minute swim. This is, more likely going to be very close to a 50-minute swim right around there, I would imagine, because of the speed suits, not wetsuits, and, just the nature of these, the swim abilities of these five gentlemen right now. So Cody Beals having a great race and sitting right up there. He is one of our favourites, with Metzler. So we've got two of our favourites sitting right up there. Matty Russell and Matt Troutman have now fallen off the back of that lead group. The other two of those favourites that we would imagine today, Matt?
Yeah, no, I think, Troutman is an athlete that we all expect, at a world championship, he was at the front of St. George. He's an athlete that obviously did really, really well at South Africa. So he's one that I think he's probably in the States, getting ready for Kona, wants to get in the side, wants to get in the kind of time zone, and then go have a good hit out at Placid. And I think, again, he's a favorite going in. We'll see how the day goes, but looking forward to seeing what Matt Troutman can do today.
Well, I love what we're seeing here from Caparel. He's just using a very, very nice, long, drawn-out stroke. Very, very efficient. You can see that he's got that right arm that's sort of a little bit slappy, but it doesn't really matter. As we were talking about it, pretty much everything happens underneath the water with the pull part of the stroke and the release at the hip. Now we can see a beautiful overhead shot there, Matt. They got the yellow buoys on the way out. They got the orange buoys on the way back. The only two buoys that they do have to turn around, the far right, two right turns around the red buoys, and then the other ones on the way back, all side buoys before they make the Australian exit. Now, if you can explain the Australian exit for us at halfway.
Now, to have someone with your accent ask me to explain the Australian exit is an opportunity I won't pass up on. Yeah, so the Aussie exit is, you get out of the water. You have to get out of the water. You run a little bit under the arch and back in, and these athletes will be getting out. Again, it's counterclockwise, so they'll be getting out, turning right, coming around, and getting back in. And it is an opportunity to do a couple things as a pro. It's to look around. Sometimes there's even aid. You can get water or something if you want. But it is an opportunity to make a move. If you practice, like I have athletes at the pool do a bunch of in and outs where you'll swim 100, jump out of the pool, jump back in, and then try to swim really hard. It's a really unique ability to be able to go hard after standing up and running. It feels really weird and it's hard. So if an athlete's really good at that, they can get to the front and try to stretch the group in that situation, because there's a lot of athletes that just forget to practice.
Sliding across the beautiful calm waters of Mirror Lake right now, our women's leader, Rachel Celinka, is enjoying a healthy lead. Very efficient swimming by her at this point in time. A little bit of a two-beat crossover, 2 to 4 beats, as you would imagine, using maximum efficiency right now. Now, we noticed a couple of weeks ago, in Ironman Victoria, we had a 6-beat kicker off the front. Yeah. Explain a 6-beat kicker as opposed to a 2-beat cross.
Well, you put me on the spot here because I'm not necessarily the best swim technician, but
we're talking about, higher heart rates and using efficiency and trying to, use low, amounts of, effort during the first part of the swim.
For sure. And I think, you could see Rachel transition from that 6-beat to start, obviously getting up, getting that speed going. She's a very accomplished swimmer, so most athletes can't really change the the rate of their kick. It's kind of one throughout. But she has the ability to really turn on the 6 and then slow down. You can barely ever see her kicking now, where that overhead shot to start the race, you would have seen a much more fervent kick. But yeah, I mean, athletes generally will feel like they need to kick more without a wetsuit because it's just, keeping that body position, especially the poor swimmers. You might see them rely on their kick a little bit more to keep their body up.
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next. That's
good.
a good, perfect segue there. I think that the swimming styles and the swimming dynamic has changed completely. When you swim in a wetsuit, the kick is not so much as important as what the arm stroke is. But when you're swimming without a wetsuit, the buoyancy, there is no buoyancy, right? So they're going to have to, this is fresh water. So this is where they're going to sink into the water. Saltwater races, we normally float up on top of the, on top of the water there, Matt. And as you very well know, swimming in a wetsuit, that's extra buoyancy. So your legs don't really have to do too much. Point your position, point your body in the right position, get your arm turnover going, get yourself into your efficiency and into your rating, and just let your arms take care of business.
Yeah, and you can see Rachel has a great kick. You can see her feet every once in a while, but not a ton of splash, and that means she's got great body position, but she's able to get the most out of her kick without kicking a lot of air, as some athletes do. And Greg, as you mentioned before, it is the Tri-Club Championship here, and the Tri-Club ensures that athletes never race alone. Ironman Lake Placid is the 2022 Ironman North American Club Tri-Championship. There will be 423 clubs represented with over 1,266 members from 20 different countries. Tri-Club activities are planned throughout the weekend, including a welcome party for members with a custom local gift and Tri-Club Village, your hotspot on the course, and a definite party out there today. Never race alone. Visit ironman.com/tri-clubs to join today.
Very well done there, Matt. And also about 35% of our athletes are representing the Tri-Clubs today. So well done to all those athletes out there from 20 countries trying to get it done today. I know when you're in a relay or if you're in a Tri-Club, you got a little bit of extra oomph.
Yeah, you always try a little bit harder for sure. Yeah, no, Greg, I think it's great, what we were talking about with the technique and, the difference between the buoyancy and saltwater and wetsuit. And what some people actually underestimate for better swimmers, I shouldn't say I was a better swimmer, but the wetsuits can be a bit of a challenge for athletes that have really good body position because they'll kick more air. So some athletes, like I would actually cut a fair bit of my wetsuit leg off so that my legs would stay in the water a little bit. But if you were wondering how fast Rachel was swimming, that's a bunch of the pro men she's passing already.
Yep, up onto the back of the pro men right now is Rachel Celinka from the United States. She started 2 minutes back from our pro men today, and you can tell that she is in a